Yeah, so let's talk about Lutnick and Jameson Greer, because last Sunday, the Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, was on a different show. He was talking about tariffs, and he was saying that what these are going to do is it's going to bring iPhone manufacturing to the United States. 5 days ago, U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer told senators, quote, "The president has been clear with me and with others that he does not intend to have exclusions and exemptions," unquote, to these tariffs. But now we know about these carve-outs for electronics imported to the U.S. that you talked about at the top, smartphones, computers, chips. It's a contradictory message. I mean, I understand that you're saying that this was the plan, but Lutnick, it seems like nobody told Lutnick and Greer.
No, I disagree with that. I think that absolutely the characterization that I gave you at the top of the hour is the thing that everybody understood all along. But I can see that when you're getting interviewed here, interviewed there, and that somehow, like, not having the time like you and I have now to just show the big picture can make it so that people don't have a complete picture of what's going on.
Well, Greer is in Senate
think
testimony.
about it this way. No, but think about it this way again, that there are these 232s which are coming, that are announced in the Reciprocal Trade Act, and the things that are going to be in the 232s, like the cannonballs that we need so that we can have something to put in the cannon, those things are in progress. And while those are in progress, these, say, 10% on most of the world tariffs will not apply to those things. And so then there's a question, an interpretation, what you say, okay, if you're not applying a semiconductor to those things, then what does that exactly mean? Because the U.S. doesn't really import a whole lot of just semiconductors. The semiconductors are in things. And it's very, very natural for the Commerce Department, and I think the Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, is one of the best Commerce secretaries I've ever worked with, that he had his team go through and say, well, what does it mean to comply with this order? And that's what came out. I don't think that it was rushed or disorganized at all.
These exemptions are only for items that will help our Defense Department needs? It's not iPhones in general? It's not semiconductors in general for commercial use?
There's a long list, which you could put a graphic up, of the things that are that we're planning 232 actions on because they're necessary for national security. And those things that are on that long list are things that will be exempt until those 232s happen.
But you understand how some people might look at this and say, this doesn't really make sense in terms of the president's larger goal. If the President Trump and you and your team are all trying to reshore manufacturing so that American manufacturing for phones and computers is happening here in the United States, and along with all these great middle-class jobs that would go with it, that you're exempting those items while at the same time the reshoring and manufacturing of the production of sneakers and T-shirts would happen here, and that seems to be completely the opposite of the goal, right?
That's just a perspective. If you think that we're going to fail to deliver on the 232s, then your question would be one to wonder about. But the 232s will be successful. We've already got 232 steel and aluminum, for example, and so that wouldn't be covered by the reciprocal part. And we've got 232 on autos. That's not covered by the reciprocal part. So those other things are going to happen, and it makes a great deal of sense. So the one final thing I want to say is, going back to, like, why are we doing this in the first place? There's the national security matter, but there's also what it means for the American worker. And so when we look at, say, the small business person who's concerned that the price of their goods is going to be higher when they sell it to their customers, the thing that they also have to remember is that these policies, which the president successfully enacted in the first term, are going to increase the demand for labor, increase wages, up by almost $6,500 in the first 3 years of the Trump administration. And so what it means is that even if you accept the naysayers' perspective on what might happen to the price of a cup of coffee, that the person walking into the coffee shop is going to have a lot more money. In the 15 years after China entered the WTO, real wages went down. So wages went down by more than prices, as we thought these cheap goods were going to revolutionize America. In fact, it was the opposite. Welfare went down. We had Angus Deaton write a whole book about the deaths of despair that were related to this. And so I think we're very optimistic about the fact that people are going to have more money in their pockets and that they're going to have a higher standard of living.